Always trust.
We ask the questions.
What is needed in the world?
The people of Yemen were already among the world's poorest when a Saudi-led bombing campaign began in March to end a rebellion on Saudi borders by Houthi fighters. And now those Yemenis have been further impoverished. Civilians as well as Houthis killed. The fighting continues. The internationally recognized government, led by Abd Rabbu Mansour Hadi, has been forced out of the country. The president in Saudi Arabia, while his predecessor, Ali Abdullah Saleh, remained, accused by President Hadi of encouraging the rebellion. The United Nations has imposed sanctions aimed at hurting the rebels, but innocent civilians are now more frequently without the food they need, and the wounded are struggling for medical help. From Saudi Arabia, President Hadi has sent his fellow exiled foreign minister, Riyadh Yaseen, to encourage international support for efforts to end the rebellion and to ask for financial help with rebuilding his country. Riyadh Yaseen sat down with Talk to Al Jazeera to discuss where it went wrong for Yemen. He also talks about who is to blame for killing those civilians caught in the crossfire. Foreign Minister Riyadh Yaseen, thank you for talking to Al Jazeera. You are part of a government in exile. You live and work out of Saudi Arabia. Your president does the same. You have no control over your country in reality at the moment, do you?
No, we have control on the people. People are with us. They are fighting against Houthis, rebels, and Ali Abdullah Saleh militia. Of course, we are not in the ideal situation. We are not saying that things are going as perfect as it should be.
How much of the military, the Yemeni military machine, is still loyal to President Hadi? How much of the military machine is controlled by the Houthis and, by your inference, by the former President Ali Abdullah Saleh?
I think the loyal to the legitimate government and to Abd Rabbu Hadi is about 1/3 of the army. Those who are with Ali Abdullah Saleh, most of their power and weapons have been destroyed, more than half of it. Some of the military, they are staying at home. They are not fighting. Those who are fighting now, Ali Abdullah Saleh militia, it's not the proper army, and the Houthis militia. And now there are a lot of dispute between these two parties who are fighting against the Yemeni people.
You say that the Houthis control only 30-35% of Yemen. That may be the case geographically, but the places they do control are major population centres, such as the capital, Sana'a. They control large parts of Aden. There are fierce battles going on in places such as Taiz. There's Sada in the north. In effect, they are actually in control of the power centres of Yemen.
Yes, that's true. They are controlling, trying to control the major strategic points, like the airports, like some places which they can do as worse as they can on the civilians. And they wanted to be treated as they are controlling the whole Yemen. However, even before, Ali Abdullah Saleh regime wasn't controlling the whole Yemen. Ali Abdullah Saleh was controlling only the major cities and some places. Yemen was always used to be uncontrollable from the central government. So what Houthis is done is taken over where Ali Abdullah Saleh was controlling by special forces he got.
Let me ask you this. When we were watching this build-up to the war over the last 3-4 months, not the full-scale conflict that we see now, it appeared to many people, myself included, that what we were seeing was the Houthis being allowed to move from their northern base, to get closer and closer to the major population centres, to effectively walk in to Sana'a and take over. Why was that allowed to happen?
Yeah, that proves that Ali Abdullah Saleh was on alliance and agreement with the Houthis. Whenever they arrive to a new place or to a new city, he allows them to get control.
But he wasn't president at this point.
Yes.
President,
Yes.
yeah, there was a different president. So why allow the former president
Yeah, because
to do this?
Because some or most of the armed forces leaders are very loyal to him. He was still controlling the officers, and he's still giving them bribes, and he's still trying to come back to power. He's sick of coming back to be again a president. By the Houthis, they are still they are hunger to become to take power, with the help, of course, of an Iranian greedy to come and have a foot.
A mistake then to allow President Saleh, ex-President Saleh, to remain in Yemen after he was no longer president?
Yeah, this is a major and big mistake, I think, to allow him to stay in Yemen and to be, and his party, and to be part of the Gulf Initiative.
Whose mistake was that?
I think a common mistake, but mainly by Gulf states. I think, and even some of our politicians have raised this during the Ban Ki-moon visit to Sana'a during the GCC initiative signing, where some of the politicians, as I know, they told them if Ali Abdullah Saleh stays in Yemen with half of his power, he will do his best to do whatever have been done.
Because he has a popular base there still to this day, does he not? There is a museum in which a pair of his burnt trousers from the day that somebody tried to blow him up are on display. He has a cult of personality there, does he not?
Yeah, of course, he was there for 33 years. He's no difference like Saddam Hussein and Gaddafi and all other leaders who have this paranoia of sickness that, I mean, either him or Yemen. So that's why he doesn't care what is happening now. He doesn't care about all the Yemeni people, the poor Yemeni people. He never developed Yemen for the last 33 years. As you see, the situation is very bad. He never built a hospital. He never built anything. 33 years, all Yemeni are suffering. We have the lowest income all over the world. See the situation in Yemen. So even what is happening now, it's not affecting as much as people think from outside. Yemenis are used to live in very minimum situation and very difficult situation.
When you talk about setting up safe zones in which people could go, they could receive hospital treatment, you've talked about inviting foreign troops perhaps in there to ensure the safety of those there. What interests me is you've also talked about setting up the government base there. How would that work?
Yes, that will work because, as you know, when the Houthis and Ali Abdullah Saleh have taken over Sana'a, and President Hadi went to Aden, and I was also there. We started to work from Aden, and we said, okay, till we go into some sort of discussion or negotiation, we'll work from Aden and the south. But unfortunately, they are coming also to the south. They didn't being convinced to take Sana'a and other parts, so they are coming also to.
But how would you set up and run a government in a safe zone within Yemen? Where might it be? How would it work?
No, it will work because, as I said, the Houthis and Assad, they are not having any political project. They are just a militia. They wanted just to destroy. They are not ruling anything, and they are not having any political issues. Just destroying and handing over Yemen to the Iran.
So when would it be possible for the government in exile to become a proper government, even if it wasn't governing out of the current capital, Sana'a, but governing from Yemen? When?
That's as soon as it is possible.
When might that be?
It depends on how they can arrange these things.
1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you would hope?
Inshallah, as soon as possible, that's what I can.
And at the moment, you put a lot of blame on Iran for this, and you've been asked what evidence you have that Iran is behind the Houthi movement. You say they're operating undercover. Give us one concrete example of direct Iranian involvement in the conflict, the war that is going on in Yemen.
If I start just from yesterday or today, there was about 7 military vessels have gone to the
military advisors.
Yes, yeah, ships or whatever they call it. They have gone to the Aden Gulf. They are trying to penetrate and go to Aden and to other parts of Yemen. So 7 is not a small number, and the U.S. Navy have stopped them for doing that, and they are back, as I have learned now. Before that, there was every day there was a plane, more than one plane going to Sana'a. It's more than 14 or 15 one has gone to Sana'a.
Could it not simply have been a normal flight between two capital cities?
It started from nothing. There was no at all, and they just started when the Houthis have taken over Sana'a airport, and nobody knows what is inside. We just see a lot of boxes coming out of this cargo. The other things is that before that, from our we got some information that Houthis were missing some parts of the Scud rockets, and they have been supplied by the Iranians, and that's why they and some expertise, of course, from the Iranians, and then they use it and make it.
But that's just what you've heard. You don't have evidence of it?
No, we have evidence,
you do?
of course.
What
yes,
evidence?
Yes, we have evidence, and we have submitted it to the United Nations and to other concerned countries on that. So we have also, before that, there were one ship full of weapons who have been captured by the Yemeni authorities, full of coming from Iran. It's the ship named Jihan, something like that. And also there was a lot of spies in Yemen. Iranian spies have been in the jail, and they have just been released during the Houthis invasion to Sana'a. A lot of things. I mean, there is a long list. If you want it, you can supply it.
You mentioned Scud missiles just then. It's something that I wanted to tackle during this talk to Al Jazeera. One of the biggest explosions was in the capital at a Scud missile base. This was an explosion caused by the Saudi-led coalition dropping bombs or whatever it happened to be to destroy this site. It so happened that more than 40 people died in this. More than 30 of them, we understand, civilians, women and children. Did you know that people would die when this happened? Civilians would die?
Of course, nobody knows about this, but look, this was a storage of the, what you call it, the fusilier and the weapons and for the Scots supply. So it was a big storage. Even if you know, my house is nearby in Fag'attan, that place. That proves that Ali Abdullah Saleh was trying to store all kinds of weapons inside the cities. In most of the countries, when you have such dangerous weapons, you should put it either outside the cities or in the borders or wherever.
But equally, the people who dropped the bombs, who directed the mission, knew that this was an area where civilians lived as well.
No, it was a military camp, by the way.
But you say your house is nearby. There were a lot of people who lived nearby. This was known to the planners.
No, because we don't know. Even it's only a few hundred meters from this place. And I never knew that underground there is such weapons. Or I will not live there.
No, I'm saying that the people who dropped the bombs that destroyed the base and killed the people, they must have known that there were civilians living nearby.
No, there was a very clear statement that if you are near any military camp, you should go away from it. Always, the coalition said, if you are in a military camp, please leave it and don't live near it.
Because Amnesty International, Said Boumedoua, the Middle East North Africa representative, has said that the coalition, quote, failed to take necessary precautions to minimize harm to civilians. Do you accept that is true, or do you
No, I
say
don't.
you did take as much?
No. I don't accept, because what we said, it is a military camp. It's not a civilian residence. This camp, nobody should be near it. Everyone knows, and this was the last sharing. We feel unhappy and sorry for any civilian casualties. But what is the reason is really what Ali Abdullah Saleh have done.
But Foreign Minister, I've spoken to people living in that district, some of whom may be your neighbours, who say they are appalled at the fact that civilians are in the line of fire here, that they wish this had never started.
What never started?
The bombing campaign.
Of course, I mean, some people, they feel that it shouldn't be started, but as I said, Ali Abdullah Saleh and the Houthis, they put everyone on the corner. They are the one who to blame, not the coalition or the legitimate government.
This is the second month of the campaign. We were told that Decisive Storm had moved to a new phase, that it was a phase of hope, and yet the bombing continues. What about medical supplies getting to people? What about food getting to people? Yemen imports most of its food.
Yes.
They must be very, very hungry indeed, or are you making special arrangements to drop food to them?
Yeah, of course, they are very hungry also, because it's not about only shortage. It's about Houthis are trying to make all kinds of obstacles not to deliver foods. Yemen, like any other countries, they should have some sort of storage for 2-3 months, like any other. But unfortunately, Houthis are preventing the transport of this food, the transport of the fuel. They are trying to rob it and to transfer it to other places, to make people more suffer, more unhappy, to blame the airstrikes.
Do you think the Houthis, who you clearly have no time for at the moment, do you think they can be part of the solution as well as you consider it at the moment, the problem? Could you, if you came back and set up a government, wherever it was, include them in?
No. For the time being, no. I think the people will refuse it. After all this kind of destruction they have done, I think there is no way to think about it.
So
maybe later, after a couple of years, when they become a political party or entity, and they will feel sorry about what they have done, then we can think and discuss. But for the time being, I think there is no way for any kind of discussion.
So what was the national dialogue, something introduced a few years ago to try and bring all the diverse elements of
Yes.
Yemen together? As far as you're concerned, that is history for now.
The national dialogue is involving all Yemenis. So Houthis are trying to make the impression they are forming 50% of the Yemeni. So Houthis are forming only 1 or 2% of the whole Yemenis. And in every country there are some rebellions, there are some militia. So if we think that Houthis now forming 50% and they should be taking part on any political dialogue or any government, that means we give them what they don't deserve really. They now deserve to be taken to the criminal court.
Let us talk about a couple of other matters affecting Yemen. Let's forget the conflict directly between those forces loyal to you and your president and the Houthis. Let's talk about Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula. This has given them a major opportunity to make gains, to make mischief, if you want to call it that, while the war and the battles have been fought elsewhere. Is that your opinion too?
Yes, I think claiming of Houthis and Ali Abdullah Saleh, and they're trying to pursue to the Americans or other Western countries that they are fighting against Al-Qaeda is really untrue. They are the one who are attracting Al-Qaeda to come to Yemen by making this vacuum. Before that, at least, there was state, there is a military, there was some sort of fighting against Al-Qaeda. We have an experience in fighting Al-Qaeda in Yemen. But now this situation, if it continues, it will attract Al-Qaeda or ISIS or whatever other criminal and crazy to come to Yemen. That's the reason why we are trying to resolve things as soon as possible to make the legitimate government go back to Yemen in order to take control and to prevent Al-Qaeda or other criminal groups to come back.
Is it your contention that Al-Qaeda is more dangerous now in Yemen than it was before? And what about suggestions that ISIL may well make moves to come into the vacuum that is there?
Yeah, of course, of all these opportunistic groups may try to come in Yemen, that's of course, but hopefully, we can overcome this situation as soon as possible so we can take control with the help of the coalition country.
Is Al-Qaeda more dangerous than before?
Of course, Al-Qaeda always dangerous.
But more so now than before?
I think so, yes.
Why do you think that?
I think that's because if the vacuum continue, they will start fighting against the remainings of Houthis, and they will look as they are the heroes for the people. So if we are becoming late to go into Yemen to aid and to have this saving of what is in Yemen, saving for the civilians, saving the people there, Al-Qaeda will come in somehow and they will raise their flags and become the heroes for the people. So that's we are trying to make things as fast as possible.
Is it possible that Yemen can now survive as one country, or will it inevitably be split perhaps into a north and south? Because the secessionist movement is big there as well at the moment.
First of all, we have, after the NDC dialogue and the new constitution, that we said there will be a 6 federal region. So I think if we think about Yemen is now as a united federal country, but in the future it depends how things goes on. So there is,
but could it go back to the old North Yemen, South Yemen?
No, I don't think.
Two different countries?
No, I don't think it will be North and South. It may be different shape, but North and South, no.
And let me end by asking you this one. What would your ideal Yemen be?
I would like to see first Yemen in peace and harmony, as it was a country with a long time of civilization. Yemen have no problems in their relations between them. So there was no any difficulty or any problems like Sunni or Shia or whatever. What is happening in Yemen is not a civil war. That's I would like also to emphasize. It's not a civil war. This is a group of militia combined with one man who wants just only to be in power even for 2 days to fulfill his sickness of loving to come back. That's all. So there is a civil war. We are not fighting against Sunnis or Shia or South or North or whatever, socialist, communist, all this kind of sorting. So it's a different story at all. This is like if you say there is a militia coming and taking over the capital of any city. That's the difference between things. Yemen should be according to the outcomes of the national dialogue, according to the new constitution, the new draft. It should be in 6 federal regions, live in harmony and in peace. That's what we are looking forward. We are now in part of the Gulf states, and most of the Gulf states is looking forward to help Yemen in developing and restructuring Yemen and to make it part and united with the Gulf states in its future.
Foreign Minister, thank you very much for talking to our
Thank you.